Okay, everybody, this is our second video for week 4, and we're going to do a small review of a couple of arithmetic expressions, order of precedence in Java, and a few things about strings that we should start practicing with, because I think that the string class is very, very helpful in order to manipulate phrases and words and all the strings that you are going to look at in this course. I think it's also very important that we understand and review the different data types, um, mostly the primitive data types and the strings. I'm going to see the differences. Okay, so let's review really quick the types of variables that we have in order to play around with our program. Okay, so first of all, let's review how to use the user input in a program, and that is basically, first of all, importing the scanner class. I use dot asterisk, that way I can use all the scanner class uh, that I need. Okay. After I import the Java class, the Java util package that contains the scanner class, the first thing I need to do is to create an object from the scanner class. It's not very difficult. Remember that there's always a structure in order to create a new object, which is the class, okay, the name of the variable or the name of the object that I'm going to assign, and then equals new class, and certain parameters that require for that object, okay, that are required for the object. After we create the class, or the object, it's kind of like, as I told you before, it's kind of like a newborn baby, okay? It doesn't do anything, it doesn't act, it has no actions until we actually ask it to behave in a certain way, and that's why when we talk about methods, we talk about the behavior of the objects, okay? That's why we first of all create the object, and then we can ask it to do different things. So we created the object, the scanner reader, and now let's talk about different data types that we have. For example, we have integers, we have integer values, so let's create A, B, okay? We have double values, okay? We also have different or smaller values like float and short. Actually, short is the less precise floating point, and float. Okay, so double uses 8 bits, okay, and an integer uses 4 bits. That's why when we have an integer value, we have to find the maximum value, it's 2 to the power of 31. And for a double, it's not quite 2 to the power of 63, because there's something related with the sign and the decimal places, okay? But it contains 8 bits of storage that can be used for doubles, okay? So, and we have other, like float and short, which make very smaller and less precise floating point numbers, okay? So basically what we do in every program, we either use int, doubles, boolean, okay, this is another primitive data type, okay, and of course we use strings. So we have different types of variables. We have the primitive data types, which is int, double, boolean, etc., and we have a very special object that kind of like behaves in some way like a primitive data type, but in other cases it behaves like an object. And the string class has many methods that can be used, and that's why it's not considered a primitive data type, and we'll see why in a couple of seconds. Okay. So first, let's review a couple of arithmetic expressions and computations that we can look at before we actually start working with the strings, okay? So I'm going to use int, my int b, it's an integer value, okay? Now, whatever I put into b has to be an integer, okay? So in my case, if I do this, okay, this result will be put into an integer value. Now, if one of these numbers is not an integer, let's say it's a double value, let's say 0.0, now I would have a syntax error because a double value divided by an integer will return a double value, plus an integer value will return a double value that I'm trying to store into an integer value, okay? So remember that 4.0 is a double, okay? Now in this case, it's very simple. 4 integer divided 3 integer will be equal to 1 integer, okay? The decimal part disappears, okay? Plus 3 will give me 4. So I can, let's display this. Let's display this. And we can see the result, okay? It's 1, it would be 1 plus 3. So first is multiplication and division, and then the addition, okay? That is very important. Another thing that we've been talking about is casting. So if I wish to cast and I have numbers that are values that are doubles and I wish to put them into an integer value, I can cast it as an integer. So in this case, I would like to cast a double, which is 3.5, okay, divided 2, and in this case, I won't have any problems because I'm casting this 3.5 into an integer, and an integer divided by an integer is also an integer, okay? So I can clearly see this, okay? So 3, because this is casted into an integer, divided 2 is 1, okay? Okay. Another thing we wish to review on this section is talking about the unary plus and the unary minus. Okay? In Java, there are many ways to express different arithmetic expressions. Okay? One is, for example, if I want a equals a plus b, okay? If I want this, I can express it, a equals a plus 1, I can express it as a plus plus, okay, or plus plus a, okay? That way I'm telling the system to add 1, okay? So this adds 1 to a, and it overwrites the variable, okay? So this is exactly the same thing when I'm doing this. The same thing happens with subtraction. B minus 1, it's either minus b or b minus minus, okay? So these are equivalent expressions. These equivalent expressions are very important because it saves time, and sometimes you just want to subtract 1, and we'll see it later on in loops, or add 1 to your counter or any other variable, okay, an integer variable. So let's say I have a equals 5, okay, I'm going to reassign a and b, okay, and b equal to 4, okay. If I say system.out.println, and I say a plus 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 a plus, I'm going to leave a space here, and I'm going to use the concatenation in order to to do this, and I say B or B++, okay, I see that I'm going to get a 6 added or space to a 5, 6 to a 5, okay? Let's look at this for a second, okay? So I have a 6 space 5 because I added 1 to my variables, okay? But concatenating in Java is a little different sometimes. Let's look at the following output, okay? Let's say I am going to write my string, say ABC, okay? Then I'm going to add A, then I'm going to add B, okay? Now I have ABC, I'm concatenating an A, and then I'm concatenating a B, okay? Right? So I have ABC, 6, 5. Now look at this other method. Okay? In this case I have A plus B plus ABC. Okay? Now I'm also working on the system that I'll print line. In this case I'm adding first the letters. Now look at the result. It is not AB, ABC, or 6, 5, ABC. It's 11 ABC, and it's because it goes from left to right, okay? The plus operator goes from left to right, so from left to right, it operates first and then concatenates, okay? Since it's going from left to right, and there's a string here, it concatenates first and then it's adding the strings, okay? Adding the numbers. In this case, it's done the operation. The same thing would happen with this example. Then I have ABC, and then I say plus 1, plus 2. In this case, I'm concatenating the number 1 and the number 2 into my string. Okay? Right? ABC 12. Very different from saying 1 plus 2 plus concatenating the rest. In this case, I have 3 ABC. Okay? So it's kind of different. It's very different in understanding when it's a concatenation and when it's adding. Since the addition goes from left to right, it will do the addition first and then concatenate the string. Okay? So this is about unary minus and unary plus. Okay? And also some string concatenation and the concatenation. Okay? Now let's talk about strings. Okay? One of the strings that we have is, I think it's G and H. We have G and H. We have G. I'm going to make it equal. Oh, let's do something. Since we have a scanner object, a reader, let's use the reader in order to input the word. So system.out.print line. Let's say type your name. Okay. And right after this, I will save it. Since I have the reader, I'm going to use my reader to retrieve the line or get that string and save it into my string. Okay. And I'm going to do this one more time. Okay. And then I'm going to have these two variables. In this case, I'll have G and H. Okay. I have G and H, and I have two strings. So when I run the program, I am going to be asked to type in the name. So I'm going to type in Julian. Okay. When I press enter, he will go to this line. Okay. Press enter. Automatically tells me type your last name, okay, and that's it. That's what the program does. It just stored. Okay, now we're going to tell it what to do. So first of all, I want to know if those two strings, because a string is a string of characters, those two strings are equal. Okay, so I'm gonna show you just 2 or 3 methods from the string class that we should learn. Okay, and they're going to be very helpful throughout the year. So one of them is one of the methods is the equals method. Okay, so if I say g dot, okay, equals, remember g is the object. That's why string works as an object. And dot is the method selector, and then the method selector, I get the methods from the string class. Okay, so if you look over here, you're going to get all the list of methods on the string class. Okay, and in my case, we're going to use the equals just to verify if g is equals to h. Okay, now this method returns a Boolean value. It just returns true or false. Okay, so let's see if these two are true or false. Okay, I'm going to type in the name, then my last name, and it returns false. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Type in my name, and let's say my last name is exactly the same. Okay, it returns true when they're exactly the same. Okay, that is that's in order to verify that the two are the same. Okay, but I'm going to run it one more time, and I'm going to say Julian, capital, and then Julian in lowercase letters. They're the same names, but they're in different, one is capital and the other one is lowercase. It returns false because they're not exactly the same. If I want to ignore the case, then I would change equals, ignore case, okay? And this is another method which ignores the case, okay? And it also returns a true or false value. So I have Julian lower, Julian uppercase, and it returns true. Okay? So that is one of the methods, 2 methods, equals and equals ignore case, that are very, very helpful when manipulating strings. Okay? Another method is the length. If we want to see the length of our string, we just name the string dot length, and we will see the number of characters that we have. Okay, so I'm going to type in my name, Dian, Monica, and it says false because they're not they're not the same, and it shows me the number of letters or characters that my first name has, G. Okay. So we have 3 different methods that we can use with our string objects. Okay. We will learn many, many more throughout the year, and it is important that you master all these methods because you're going to be using them a lot, and of course on the AP exam. Okay, so basically for the exam, it is important that you read throughout chapter 3 from the book, the pages that were on the focus on from each 3.1 and 3.3, and focus on that book. Okay, so basically there's another thing that you need to read about, and which is the words that are reserved for Java, and these words cannot be used as variables. Okay, so it's important that whenever you create a new variable or an object, okay, you don't call them using these words. Okay, remember that these words are reserved by Java because they're either methods, or they're either types of variables that we consider like integers or doubles. So make sure that you don't use these words, okay? All the other ones are fine. So these words are Java. And of course, arithmetic expressions, these words, and the operators, okay? The symbols and operators are all used in Java, and they're used in Java language, okay? Anything else, any variable that you would like to make up in your programs is fine and is not part of the Java language, okay? So that is all for now. I wish that this video helps you in order to get a very good score on your quiz, and see you later.